Okay. So should you want me to wait for a minute, or should I start? Because if I start once, then the process cannot be stopped. That's how the design thinking process is. No problem. We can have people joining. So hello everyone, and welcome to the 106th session of Speak Up. Today's session is going to be taken by me. I'm sure that a lot of you might not have seen me. So I am Pragya. I am Rahul's wife and a partner in Living Life, although I don't get time too much to join in over here because of other commitments. So today's session is more on the concept of design thinking. Now, many of you might not have heard what exactly is design thinking. It is a term, it is a process which is used in product-oriented companies, corporates, or works wherein it is more about designing a product, coming out with a prototype, looking the faults in it, and coming back to redesigning or making any changes to it. Though this process, you might think, how does this apply to a life? Because it is more about products. But when I did a study on it as to how design thinking and the whole process which goes with it, which we are going to understand now, one thing which I would request all of you, if it is possible for you, take 2 minutes of your time, get a pen and a paper for you, because today we are not going to just do a theory part of it. Rather, we would try to actually fit in how these things work in the real life. So if you can just take 2 minutes and get a pen and a paper for you. And also please try and switch on your cameras, because I really love seeing people. And I'm sure I'm not scary. Okay. So what we'll do is, first I'll give you a brief of what design thinking is all about, but I'm not going to spend too much of time. Okay, no problem, Shakti, you can be off the camera. Yeah, so what I'll do is that first I'll tell you a brief of what is the actual technical process of design thinking, but I'm not going to spend too much of time on it, but I'll tell you how I have created each part related to life and career, 2 sections of how you can apply this thing on your own. So a standard design thinking process has 5 segments to it. First being empathize, wherein you try to understand the problem, you try to look it from people's mind, you want to look it at how challenges would come, how you would be handling those challenges on, and all those kind of things, which is the empathize process. When it comes to product industry, it is more about, suppose you as a customer has a problem, I'll try to empathize with you and I'll try to find out what product would suit your needs. Second being define. So in this define process, you try to actually put down points of what are the areas you would want to be developed, what are the challenges that you might face, what are the main points that you need to keep in mind, what are the areas of interest that you will need to see. Third is ideate. So when it comes to a product industry, this is where the whole ideation. So if it's a software industry, it will be more about a software in making that you will start, that this is the kind of software you need. If it is a product, if it's a mobile phone or probably a water bottle or anything, you will start ideating as to how you would want the design to be. In this process, you will share the ideas you have gathered from the first 2, empathize and design, and you will share it with the team. You will also kind of filter all the ideas which are worthy, which can be taken into consideration, and you will filter out the ideas which you feel will not probably be of any use to the problem, the central problem which is there. Then comes the process of prototyping. So in this prototype process, when you are into a product oriented industry, you actually try to create a smaller version or a prototype of something which you would want the customers to use, and you will redesign it there. You will have mock tests on it. You will have, whether this thing is going to work and solve the problem or not, whether this is fulfilling for the customers or not. All this is something which you will try to figure out in this prototype method. And last but not the least is the test. Test is where people actually launch these products into the market in smaller quantities, and they try to find out whether that product has worked, whether there are any problems. If in case they find some issues here, they again go back to the empathize phase, and they would start seeing that if this is the problem in the test method which is coming, how do you again relate it and start the same process again of testing, retesting, and all the empathize and define the problem again, and then ideating what can be done to solve that problem and all that kind of a thing. So this is a standard process when it comes to your product industry. But when we, today what we are going to do is I'll divide the segment into two important things. First is applying this whole method of design thinking into our life and applying the process of design thinking into career. Although there will be a lot of overlap because the process will remain same, but we will still try to word by word figure out of how we can solve it. One thing which I would ask all of you to understand it well, grab it well, and actually try to apply it to solution is, as I tell you each step of it, right? Take 2 seconds. Try to think of any problem which you are currently facing. Because rather than just telling you theory, if you can actually try to apply it right now, step by step, and try to solve a particular issue that you have, you will be able to understand, remember, as well as ideate it better, right? So let's start with the whole concept of how you apply this. I have told you the 5 segments which are used in a product industry, but let me tell you the 5 segments which we are going to use today for this session. So first process, what was the first thing which I told you? Empathize. Empathize means the area where you want to kind of find out the whole situation. You try to understand the need, you try to find out the situation. So in other sense, you can say that it is more about visualizing your problem when it comes to life and career. So the first step being that you actually try to write down or visualize or illustrate your problem which you are facing right now. So for example, say Madhu is there. Madhu says that I am facing a problem communicating something with my boss, or probably I am facing a problem connecting or being on the same terms with my manager. So this is where the first step will happen, visualizing your problem. Now, what are the steps you will have to follow in visualizing your problem would be, firstly, write down the key problem, the key idea on which you want to follow this whole process of design thinking. Once you have written that idea, you have to write at least 3 sub-points to it as to what are the sub-problems related to it. For example, at the session, the idea which we have taken from Madhu. So he is not able to be on the same understanding as his manager. That is the key source problem. Now we are going to visualize as to where he's finding the issue. For example, whenever his manager communicates to him, he just gives orders and never wants to share ideas. Or probably his manager is an autocratic manager wherein, he just wants his word to be done and he doesn't listen to others. Probably his manager is somebody who always pulls down work to people and then doesn't appreciate, and that is where he feels a lack. So you have to actually visualize, write down 3 sub-points of that problem which you feel will be able to explain to yourself or to anybody else what your central idea and the central problem is. Now starts the process of design thinking from here. The second step would be reverse thinking. Okay, so for example, let me take an idea from Vikash. Vikash, what would be that one idea, one problem which you would want to visualize, and tell us 3 sub-points which you feel connect to it? It can be any little problem, even if it is not current in the house, it is okay to be, the smallest problem of your life.
Okay, one thing I can remember, like I am procrastinating to complete a certification, which I should be doing it, but I am just procrastinating.
Okay, so let's start from here. because the first point you have to write is procrastination of whatever your program is. You have to properly write that it is not, it will not be procrastination as a general issue. It will be procrastinating your particular certification. Now tell us 3 points which you feel why that problem is so important to you. How do you visualize it as a problem?
Right. Why it is a problem, or why I am doing procrastination? Let's say.
Why you are doing this procrastination? Find out, try to find out 3 points why you are doing this procrastination for the problem.
Yeah, I have thought about that. One is I'm not able to see the immediate gain.
Okay.
Means this certification is not like kind of pressurized by my company. I have chosen it for my own personal career growth. However, I am able to manage the work without that also. Maybe in long term, definitely it has very great consequence, but immediate terms, I don't see a very a kind of immediate gratification is less. That is the first one. Then another two I have to find, right? Okay. So for completing for the preparation of the certification, need some dedicated and continuous time, maybe for 15 days. Even if I do 2 hours per day for 15 days, I'm sure I can do it, but I'm not consistent. Whenever I think that, okay, let me do it, I start it very nicely. For 1 or 2 days, it goes. After that, again, somehow some other tasks, some other priorities comes, and then it dwindles away.
Okay.
And third maybe related to the first one, but let me still tell like the quadrant, right? That urgent important. It is not in the urgent important quadrant, and I see that I am last 1 or 2 months. I am seeing that I am more driven by urgent important quadrant. All the tasks which are come there in my urgent important, I am giving more priority to that and only doing that. But I should be doing more of I should not be neglecting the important but not urgent task, because that is what actually in long term will definitely give me very better position. But even though I know it, I'm not doing that.
Okay. So as Vikas has told that he wants to gather some certification, but there are 3 prominent reasons because of which he's not doing it. The central idea being procrastination, right? And the visuals of it being that he doesn't consider it to be having instant gratification. He doesn't put it in urgent thing that he needs to do right now probably. And he is not giving the dedicated time. Now let's understand the first set, how it will work. And I would request all of you, if you can just do it right away, write on a pen, write on a page that, you know, one problem that you have. And similarly, the way Bikash has told 3 points, write down 3 points that you feel are designing, or the visual, when you see the visualization of that problem, these are the 3 points that come into picture. Let's take 2 minutes for that, and then I'll move to the next step. Why this part is so important is that we first need to understand that when we are applying design thinking to life, it is more about changing the way you think about things, the way you perceive them, the way you visualize them, you explore them, and then you see the materializing of the whole thought. So it all starts from there. The visuals is where the first process will start. And don't worry, it can be a problem which is very, very small, which you feel that, you know, it is my day-to-day life issue, but there is always a way of redesigning the same thing. So you can take any smallest of the issue which you want. So now we'll start with the second process, which is called the reverse thinking. Now, why reverse thinking is important is that when we talk about design thinking, it is something which tries to change your mindset from problem orientation to solution orientation. Right? That is the first goal of design thinking, and that is why reverse view of anything is something which comes into picture. So now, again taking example of Bikash. So Bikash, if I ask you to think the problem from a solution method, okay, what do you think would be the easiest solution for you for this thing? For example, I'll just give you 3 suggestions and you tell me whether these things can work for you or not. Right now, you're focusing only on urgent, important things of your life and you're dedicating most of your time to that. And you say that you need at least 2 hours for 15 days to complete your project, which might seem to be a really lengthy process. Now, when it comes to reverse thinking of design thinking, what I will first do is break the long-term goals into short-term goals and more achievable ideas of it. So what if I tell you that it's okay, Bikash, that you are not putting it into urgent, important segment right now, but how about you spend 15 minutes or maybe 2 hours in a week? How about you spend 2 split hours in a week to complete this particular course? Although I know that you have a stipulated idea or a timeline in your mind which says 15 days, 2 hours is what is going to convert my problem into a solution. But how about getting more realistic idea which says that I am not able to spend 15 days, 2 hours every single time, but on that verge, what is happening? I am completely missing out on doing something, which means the visualization, which is very clear for me of what is the problem, is actually not able to convert into a solution. That's what you also said, right? That I know this is the problem. I know I need to do it, but I am not able to solve it. The reason for that is that whenever we try to give unachievable, unimportant goals to our mind, we will not be able to sort that thing out. Right? So how about you decide 2 hours, 1 week, and I will eventually complete this course. Now, when it comes to these 2 hours also, you will again divide these 2 hours into half an hour, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever suits you. But you have to complete these 2 hours in your week anyhow. Now, with this reverse thinking comes the third part, which is a co-factor of it, is commit. Right? So when we saw about the actual thinking process, right? Design thinking, there was a part called ideate. So ideate over here turns to commit. Now, what this ideate will do will make you give commitments which are short term, which are achievable, which is something which your mind will not absolutely reject doing. Now, most of the times this thing happens that, for example, Uma ma'am decides to do something and she makes a list of things which she wishes to do. But at the end of the day, she will look at, oh, I have to spend 4 hours on these things. Let me do it tomorrow. And that's a common factor which happens with all of us, right? As soon as we see timelines which are huge, timelines which need a longer commitment, or probably timelines which tell us that we'll have to invest a lot of efforts, energy, and time into it, we try to reject those. So once we have done the reverse thinking and we have divided the long-term goals into very, very short, very short-term, remember this word, very short-term goals, the second step that comes into picture is to commit, right? Now, in this commitment, there are 2 things which you have to keep in mind. For example, Bikash today says, I have committed myself that I am going to complete 15 minutes of this project, this study, every single time. Now what happens? Somebody comes or Vikas gets a call. He started the process. He was committed to starting the process, but he got a call from office. What happened? He got something which falls into that urgent, important category, and he again sidelined the problem which he knows is existing. So when you commit to something, the commitment goes in this particular format. You will decide the terms on which you want to do that particular thing. You are ready to accept failures or probably situations which are called the gravity situations. Okay, I'll explain this gravity situation word going forward of what this means. But you accept gravity situations and you commit in a manner where if you are not able to do that particular thing on that particular day, you have committed to complete it in the upcoming days. So the broader goal of 2 hours every week remains the same, but the shorter goals of 15 minutes each or 20 minutes or half an hour each, if they are interrupted by gravitational problems, they still have to be finished in this week. Right? So you are ready to accept that failure part. You are ready to accept the interruption part, but you are still keeping the 2 hours goal intact. That is how you commit to this process. Right? Last but not the least, the second last thing would be the challenges. Now, most of the times in a problem solving process, our mind starts thinking about challenges. What if I am not able to give it? What if I'm not able to complete the program? What if I get more important things in my life? What if I have other commitments? What if, something. This what if is something which is a barrier, you can say, in design thinking. And it is a very, very prominent barrier which comes for every single concept of life, career, product designing, anything. Even when people design products in the market, the first thought comes to their mind is, what if it doesn't work? What if the people don't accept it? Right? So we love this word, I must say. Everything, so the brain absolutely loves this word. You say anything. You say that girl is so beautiful, the brain will say, what if she says no to you? You say I should go out with my wife, your brain will say, what if she again starts nagging with you? Right? So this what if will always remain, but what you have to do is to put it into a challenge factor. Jot down your challenges which you might face beforehand. What this does is that this kind of prepares your mindset for accepting challenges that are going to come on your way. Now, for example, for Vikas situations, one thing can be probably the software is not working. The page itself is not working for a few days. What do you do? Right? Probably he has got a project from the office which he really can't let go. Probably he's got a family function. Probably somebody falls ill in the house. All these situations are the challenges which he is going to face when he has to commit to this particular situation. Now, what did I tell? This challenge is basically the last part, the test part, which I had told you towards the product designing thing. What comes after test? Again, goes back to the first step of empathizing, understanding the current scenario, and redesigning and realigning the process which you have made for yourself. But one thing which we have to keep in mind is, because we are amazing people, I must say, as soon as we get a chance to redesign and realign, the first thing that will happen is that Bikash will say, oh, I have an option of redesigning and realigning, so I'll put it for next time. If it doesn't work, I have all these challenges. I restill the challenges thought, but I still know that there's a process of empathizing and redesigning which I can follow. Right? So that is where you have to put a full stop and first understand that the return to empathize is basically going to take a lot of kind of tolls on your mental emotional factors, and it is going to make your whole process difficult. Now, as I said, that we have to understand how these processes allow. So can I first ask maybe Chetan, have you written any problem and this whole process of what you think would work out?
Yes, I have written.
Let us know.
We are working on website for our institute, and since many days we are working on it. So we are unable to finish it.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is the reverse thinking? What are the three problems that you have written in the visualization of why this thing is happening?
Problem as such, it's not an urgency as such.
Okay.
Maybe this may be one of the major factors.
And?
Thinking of some more ideas.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have to jot down three things.
Procrastination is one of them. We'll do it later.
Okay. So most of the people, I must say then, maybe Madhu, any problem which you face and how you define into three parts?
I written one thing to acquire some new skill, which I haven't have any idea, zero knowledge. So first thing is I have a fear.
Okay.
Whether that's my first attempt, I'm trying to achieve it. That's a fear I have it.
Okay.
And to start itself, I have I don't have that much confidence whether I can do it or not. But if I do it, maybe I don't know. But that's a open challenge I am thinking. And one more point is, yeah, a lot of time I need to spend. Okay, suppose if I spend some time, quality time, definitely maybe I can achieve it. Suppose instead of 1 hour, maybe I can spend 2 hours or 3 hours, maybe. But that much time I cannot pull right now. That's a one challenge. Yeah, and one more thing is, suppose if I failed it, how it looks like. Attempted, and that thing is there. Yeah, these 3 points I feel.
Okay. So let's start with a process which I'm going to tell you now. At least the people who have just now shared the problem and all the others who have written it. Try to follow this process, and I call this process connect the dots. Okay. So what does connect the dots means is basically the whole process is going to be divided into three parts. You can make three columns if you want for yourself. The first section will be connect the dots. The second section will be designing, the gravity problems. And the third session would be brainstorming and finding your odyssey. Right. So the first section where we are kind of trying to find out how to solve any particular problem, connecting the dots. Most of the problems which we have faced right now, which people have told, the major concerns being either procrastination, probably fear of failing or not being able to do something, or probably not considering it a thing of urgency. There are more such problems which people face. For example, what will happen if I am not able to achieve what I want to achieve, and that kind of pulls them back, right? Few problems being the socio-economic and other problems that form a part of not being able to solve a particular issue, right? So when we start with connecting the dots now, for example, Chetan's problem, Chetan, you want to start a website, but you feel that right now it is not of a priority. Now, how would you change? Because the design thinking is all about solution orientation rather than problem orientation. So let's start with the solution orientation. Problem you have already recognized that you are not able, you want to, but you have not started a website. Now, if given a chance, I ask you five benefits which you will have if you have a website. How would you note it down? And I would want all of you, whatever problem you have written, try to write down 5 benefits from a reverse thinking perspective, which you will have if you really complete it now or in extended period of lifetime. It can be an immediate benefit or it can be a long-term benefit, but please write down 5 benefits that you will have. Okay. So if you have written 5 benefits, which either immediate or long term that you are going to get from that particular issue, now put a dash. And the other side, which I have told you, is the gravity. Now let's understand what this gravity means. The gravity is basically all the things that pull you back from achieving these benefits which you see will be there. So if I ask you, write 3 things which you think, other than procrastination, write 3 things which you feel are pulling you back from achieving this particular thing. These are your gravity things, and it can be anything. It can be socio-economic, emotional, psychological, anything. But 3 points of gravity. And be very, very careful, because these are the gravitational points we are going to work on when we are trying to sort this problem by this process.
So initially, when you ask the 3 things, right, which is like the main reason that we chunk down the problem,
No,
how
no.
that is different from
I'll
this
tell
one?
you, I'll tell you there are 2 things, 2 different things. Okay. The first 3 things which I had asked you are the visuals of the problem which you assume are there. Now, for example, here you said that procrastination, considering it unimportant or not so important recently, or these are the things which are stopping me from achieving it. But these gravitational forces are much more forces, and are those forces which form into your part of important things which you consider, which are keeping you away from achieving this particular thing. So for example, if I give my example, I know my problem that I want to go out and work. Okay, my priority, my visualization would be that I cannot go out of the house for a long period of time, or probably I cannot spend too much of time outside my house. Probably there are restrictions on what kind of job I can do, or probably there are restrictions on how much amount of efforts I can put into it, considering my responsibilities. This is how I visualize my problem. This is how I think is my problem. But when it comes to the gravitational forces, these forces, for example, for me will be, I have 2 kids in the house. That is my gravitational pull. That is not a direct impact, but is a much important part of the factor altogether affecting this particular mindset. Now, for you, example, in your scenario, your work, that there must be probably the amount of money that you're getting from your work, or the kind of growth that you are getting from your work, the kind of efforts you want to put in your work, is the gravitational force which is making you consider that this is an unimportant task for now. Right? So visualization is how you visualize the current situation of the problem. Gravitational pulls are basically, which are long-term pulls, but have an important effect on your whole aura altogether, the whole life altogether. And that is why you are putting this particular task into. Now, for example, Bikash, if I tell you, your company sends a mail to you and sends you that, Bikash, unless you have this certification, you will not be able to get the promotion. Now, what did I do? I did not work on your procrastination. I did not work on your importance or unimportance directly, but I pulled a trigger, a gravitational trigger from the thing which is important to you. And that is what will be the effect, the reverse effect, which will come to your current mindset of the problem, or the way you look at that particular problem right now. So all of you have written the gravitational pulls that you have, right? Now, last but not the least, what you have to do is the third segment of it, which is more about brainstorming and being in your odyssey. Now you have to write 3 situations. Situation 1, situation 2, situation 3 in the third segment. Situation 1 will be your current existing situation of where you stand about that problem. For example, it is procrastinated, it is unimportant, or probably there is fear, or probably it is unimportant right now, like the website thing or anything. The first situation would be current state of mind in that particular problem. The second situation will be, now let's pretend that you are in a state where nothing else exists, but only this situation exists. Okay. No other affecting factors around you are affecting it that much. But this central problem has become an important part for you. This has become the central of your moving to any other thing. What will be the scenario then? How will you look at this whole situation then? So because, as I told Bikash, this certification is important for you to be the manager. The situation has changed altogether. The center now for him becomes this thing of completing the certification. Probably I tell Chetan that Chetan, unless you make a website, the promotions cannot happen, or the registrations will only come through website. What happens then? The situation of the whole problem has the gravity that you paid to this particular problem has changed. Now you write the third situation. Third situation being no other gravitational force exists, which means for Madhu, there is no fear that is existing, only the importance of this thing which is existing. No pullback factor exists. For example, if there is somebody who wants to pursue music, or for example, Madhu wants to pursue a new thing in life, no other commitment as of now is existing. What will be the situation of this problem then? Would you again look at the same perspective? Would you want to put in more time for it? Would you put in more efforts for it? Would you still consider it a problem or an opportunity? So this is your third scenario. All of you have noted it down for you. Okay. Now let's connect the dots, the one which I said of how you connect these three dots. You have seen a problem with a mindset of it being a problem altogether first, right? You also saw a scenario and you know the gravitational pulls which are stopping you from achieving it. So you know the areas of impact where you need to work. The problem here is not that you're not, for example, the problem here for Madhu is not that he's not able to do a new thing or not. The problem which he needs to focus on right now is fear. Now, what happens, Madhu, when you are working from a solution perspective of eliminating this whole cause of problem? What will you do?
For example, I feel like, okay, let it be. Suppose I'll put my best. Okay, right now I'm thinking just I'm not putting best efforts, but I'll put my best efforts and I'll try. Suppose if I fail also, the percentage will be less than earlier. And then maybe I may get little confidence that, okay, I thought that, I cannot achieve that, but now I'm almost there. Maybe I need little more efforts. The mindset may changes and maybe I'll put best efforts again next time.
So this is exactly what happens. Now, because if I tell you that certification is important for you, you have shifted your mindset from, it being a okay thing which needs to be done and it is unimportant to a situation where you're not getting a promotion. You started looking at it as a means to get that important thing which you want. What would you do in this situation?
Yeah, that is what actually I mentioned also. It is self-imposed, it is not imposed by my company. So now that you told this example wherein something very important to my career is linked to my current problem. So definitely the gravity or the importance of achieving this target has gone far more. And definitely the pull will be there, like pull push, whatever you say. It will be like kind of obviously I have to prioritize.
Right. Chetan, what will happen if I tell you that your promotion or registration for your coaching or for your students will only come through a website? What will be your first step then?
To leave other things and complete the website. Get the website completed.
Right. So now, after you have understood the process of how you want to put these segments and how you understand the gravitational pulls that happen, this is the time where you try to get into a prototype. So you have ideated, you have empathized yourself, you've understood the problem, you have also tried to connect the dots there. Now comes the, you have also ideated of what will be a worst come and the best come scenario. Now comes the idea of prototyping. This is where the major problem happens. So I have understood everything. Okay, I know my problem. I know how not having that problem will make things better for me. I also understand how I can make it better. But when it comes to prototyping, the biggest thing that comes into picture is making a mistake of, again, turning back to a situation of going into that unimportant phase. As you start designing something, the first thing that happens is 10 days you will work on it. I have got an idea. I know how to design my life. After 10 days, that design will go into the dustbin. And you will come back to your regular life because the commitment factor and the prototype, these two things have put a barrier to you. How commitment has put a barrier is, you know that you have just committed to yourself and not to anyone else. And we are amazing people. Whatever commitment we make to ourselves, we can just let it go very easily. So the way when you design a product, you have to send the whole ideation and the requirements and everything to your manager or somebody who's other than you. Similarly, when you have written this method, this thing, these three situations, scenarios of where you see your life to somebody else, it can be a family member, it can be a board that you have in front of you in the room, it can be anything, but it has to be a proper commitment which is being reminded. It can even be a reminder in your phone, as simple as that, which rings after every 3 days and it tells you that this is where you are. This is how much you have done it. It can be as simple as that. But that commitment factor has to come to keep you intact on after you have done this whole process. Now, the prototype when you will be launching, which means when you will be starting to work on that problem, there will be failures. There will be unexpected situations which you would not think of. And that's what will start pulling you back. Because remember, design thinking is a solution-based method. And we all are good at thinking with problems. We are not somehow designed to think with a solution. So any new thing that comes up will take us back to the situation which tells, see, the problem is still there, you have not been able to solve it. Right? That's the mindset we carry most of the times. So here, these reminders of every 3 days, every 5 days, 7 days, whatever you wish to put according to your commitment levels. For me, it is every day because I am absolutely not committed to myself. I keep on changing. So I have to put reminders to keep reminding me of what I have to do on that particular problem. But when you keep these reminders, what will happen is that, it is extremely important that when you are coming to a situation of, say, mistakes or failures from where you have ideated, you give yourself some space. And you have to think of varieties of ideas then. Most of the times we are stuck to one idea, one solution for one problem. But design thinking says that one problem does not have one solution. For example, if I want to reach to a particular place, I might have 4 different routes to follow. What you have to do is have a backup plan. If, for example, Madhu says, to reduce my fear, I will speak more in speak up session. Or probably to reduce my fear, I will go for, say, cycling, which is a new thing for me maybe. Or probably I will go for trips wherein trekking and all that is happening. But what happens, Madhu, if there is rain? Does your idea of trying something new and fighting your fear goes for a drain? Do you carry a backup plan of solutions with you or not? Is an important factor when we are trying to apply design thinking. Reason being, whenever we are faced with failures, the the focus, the attention particularly shifts to, push yourself into a comfort zone again. Right? That is natural for all of us. As soon as we'll be faced with any problem, we will be very happy that, oh, we are trying to find a solution to our problem. But as soon as an issue comes in, it will push us back into the comfort zone. And it is also important that whenever you have these ideas, these ideating stage of how I want to solve this problem or why I want to solve this problem is happening, you again break your ideas into smaller actionable parts. How? Madhu says, I want to start a new activity. Now, first thing, the time Madhu holds a cycle, the first thing that will happen is fear will again kick in. Madhu say, I cannot do it. I cannot ride a bicycle. You again break that idea into, let me try and first sit on it. Let me try to put in one paddle of it. So rather than you thinking that you have to ride for a kilometer, even the idea of what you're going to achieve is going to break your fear down. That, okay, I am only sitting on it. Or probably Bikash says that it's okay, I will at least try to start working on my course. It might take a little longer for me. That's okay, but I'm still trying to achieve that. So ideation stage again is being broken into smaller parts, achievable actions, so as to keep the gravitational force low. And everybody will have a different gravitational force. For example, for maybe Rashmi, a gravitational force can be staying away from India and wanting to do something in India. Right? For you, a gravitational force, Rashmi, probably can be if you want to do yoga and you don't get to go out of the house because it is snowing. You don't even get to go to your center. So now what will you do? You will first think from the solution perspective. Then the idea which you get from the solution perspective, you will again break into small actionable points. For you, probably a solution is, okay, I'll go online. Now what? The Wi-Fi doesn't have a good bandwidth. That is a gravitational pull for you. What do? You probably try to speak more, show less, or probably try to have a session as short as 15 minutes. But you have broken your situation from getting into that fear stage to getting into a solution stage. Right? Okay. So now the last thing which we need to understand here is the prototype phase, where everything kicks in, wherein fear kicks in, wherein everything else will try affecting you. And when you have, what you have to do in this particular stage, a very simple thing, the change of way you speak things to yourself. Okay, and after that, after I tell you these ideas, we'll start taking questions from you as to what problem in your career have you faced and how can we apply this concept to your problem. Okay, just 2 more minutes and we'll start with that process. So the first thing which happens, which is basically the test stage, the last stage, after which you will again go back to empathy or visualize, as I said. The last stage is the change of the way you say things. For example, Bikash said, it is not of priority to me. Bikash, how about you say, if I don't do this now, I might never be able to complete it. If I don't do this now, the benefit which I can get after 10 years will be ripped off.
Now or never.
Now or never. So first thing you will say is, rather than saying, I don't know why I am not doing it. I don't know why this problem is so difficult. I don't know why I am only facing this problem. We will turn to a solution mindset, which says, you just have to go and try. What will happen if I try? Why not try? Why not? So because you will say, why not give 15 minutes of my time to it? Let's see what happens next. And that way, slowly, when you follow this process every single time with your mind, It will start poking you for doing things rather than not doing the thing. Right? Second thing which you have to tell to your mind is, most of the times we say that I'm really worried. What if this thing doesn't work out? What if this is not the right decision for me? Or probably, what if something bad happens? What if I'm not able to achieve it? What if there are more problems coming into picture? This is what is a normal mindset that we have. But when we shift to a solution mindset, we do a very small change, which says, I have planned to take a decision. I'll stand by it. And you say this at every step when you're facing a problem. So if you take a decision now, you apply it, and you again face a situation where you have a problem, you will again switch back to, I have to take a decision and move forward, rather than telling, what if this doesn't work? And third, and the last thing which you have to tell to yourself is, I don't see it as a problem at all. I know this is the most toughest thing to say, because when you are into the problem, everything seems to be frustrating. But just 3 seconds of you telling yourself, this is not a problem at all, actually change your mind a lot. And you can practically try doing it. Right? And I'm sure it is going to work out. So now you have understood the process which is followed for decision, for this whole design thinking into our life or our career. Now let us take problems from you, any one problem which you think, and we all together will try to find out how you can convert it from a problem perspective to a solution perspective. Okay, so let's start with people who have not spoken till now, probably Madhav. Madhav, you're there? Okay, Madhav, Nandana, are you there?
Yes, Pragya, I'm there.
So Nandana, any one problem which you feel you would want to solve with this design thinking?
Okay. All right. I think we'll just go take something which is lying dormant in my mind for a long time, like starting blogging.
Okay. So as the
Okay.
process follows, Madhu, what should he do with the first step? What should she do with the first step? She's
I
finding
feel like that's the most important thing. The priority has to be
so what
high.
will be the first thing? What will be the first step for her to do? Right now, when we are solving her problem with design thinking, what is the first step she has to do? There is a problem. She has told us a problem. Now, what's the first step?
The imagination, visualization, the problem, breaking down into the 2 parts.
Yes. So Nanda, you have to visualize and find out 3 points wherein you feel that this is a problem for you. And why?
Yeah. Right, I agree with it, Pragya. So I thought about it, and I think the problem lies in me thinking that it is time consuming. When I say time consuming, considering the other commitments that I have, or the priorities that just keep popping up, I think it is time consuming for me to start right now. Okay, that is the first barrier for me. Second is giving it a very dedicated schedule, wherein every day, wherein you can just give it a particular slot and think that, okay, fine, within this particular time slot, or at least during this particular time, maybe I can just journal certain things related to a particular topic. Okay, so giving that particular time slot or that dedicated schedule sometimes becomes a problem. So that's the second one for me. And a third thing is, sometimes it's like, you can call it a flighty mind, sometimes it's just like moving from one topic to another, or moving from one concept to another, or maybe moving from one area to another altogether, wherein blogging is not so important at that point of time. So yeah, so a flighty mind could be the third problem for me. So yeah, these 3 are the problems that I have identified, which might be restraining, wherein I can just go ahead with this, and then the result being I'm not going ahead with it.
Okay, great, Nandana. So now we have understood that there is a problem which she's facing, and she also have clearly pointed out the three things priority, which she feels are affecting it. Now, Nandana, if we go to the next stage of it, which says reverse thinking, which means solution orientation. What are the 3 or 4 solutions you think? So first we'll listen from Nandana, and then we'll listen from all of you, whoever have any idea about what she can do in this segment. So Nandana, tell me 2 ideas or 3 ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, Pragya, I think it's all about a mindset change, wherein when I decide that I would go for it, I think all the solutions arise from that particular point of time. So, I mean, it's about how you prioritize a thing. So maybe it is not in my priority list
that
as of now.
will fall into the part of commitment, Nandana. That is a third segment. I am asking you to reverse think of if you think of a solution. I'm not talking about commitment because commitment comes as the third part of it. What do you think can be a solution for it?
Okay, fine. In that case, I think maybe if I take a particular project or a particular concept or a particular a topic, let's say, then maybe my delving deep into that particular every day, okay, might generate a particular interest within me and then make me want to really write it down. Okay, so that I see as the first thing that I could do. Okay, second thing, Pragya, I think it's about giving a standardized time, wherein irrespective of what commitments pop up, I mean, if I say that it has to be written down, at least, let's say even 2 sentences. I mean, if you see that your priority is too important and you're not able to really give your time on that particular day, then to me, what becomes important is I take my journal out and just list out at least 2 sentences. So when I write it down, then it gives a very big answer to my mind that yes, you have done and you have dealt with it today, irrespective of what commitments you have. So that becomes the second one for me. Okay,
Right.
and yes, next one I would say, Pragya, is setting a set point. When I say set point, it is like when you do not do a particular thing which you have committed to do, then I would stop myself and then I would not proceed with anything else. So when I keep this as my set point, wherein I have to finish it off and only then maybe I can wind up. So then it becomes it becomes like a teacher who's standing with a stick in his hand, his or her hand, and then making you do the certain thing. So until I complete it, then I cannot move forward. So yeah, that becomes my third point.
Right.
And fourth,
so let's go with
maybe someone can.
Yeah, let's go with 3 points, Nandana. First,
Okay.
and we can all have the list made for us because that is what is going to actually slowly change our mindset. But understand what happened here. So for now, when I asked you something, you were thinking it only as a problem perspective, right? That this is a problem and this is a problem which I'm not going to solve and I'm not able to solve whatever happens. And that is why you had kept it on a bill. But now what you did was that when you pointed out 3 points of why this problem is happening, you went to a stage of thinking, what can I do for it? Now, once you have shifted your mindset from it being a problem to it being a solvable problem as of now, right? Next you have to do is to commit. Now, this commitment is something, Nanda, which you have to do it on your own level. And as I told you, this commitment should not be in your mind. It has to be a written commitment, which means right now, today, on the chat, you write a commitment that in this week, I am going to start my blog, even if I don't have 2 posts, even if there is a half a post which I can write, or even if it is an introduction to the kind of blog which I write, but I have to do it by the end of this week. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have to do is you have to write it on a paper. You can write it on the chat here, because when you give this commitment in front of people, that's where the process will start. Then you will feel the.
Oh, you're making it very difficult for me.
To understand why this is important. This is just a start process. Okay. Once you start it, after a point of time, you don't really need to tell this commitment to others. because you have put it as a process in your mind. But for the initial days, to keep that commitment to yourself and to stick to it, to change your mindset from looking it as a problem to looking it as a solution based problem, you have to put in that commitment. And we as social beings are somehow designed in a manner that if we commit in front of people, we are obliged to fulfill it. Initially, it's a force because your mind will not accept solutions. That is how it is designed. Initially, it's a force that you put over there, a little bit of it, and then it converts into a process in your mind. It takes time, but you will have to keep doing it every single time. Right? So that is where you have to get into picture. And while you're writing this commitment, you also have to think of the challenges which you might face. Write them down there. I might be ill. I might have guests in the house. I might not be able to write the blog the same day. But put a dash and also write the last day of that week where you wish to complete this process. So you have written a commitment, you have written challenges, and you have written the broader commitment of it. That's when your mind will keep nagging you all the time that you have not completed this particular task. Right? That is how this whole process will get into your mind. So try doing this, Nandana, this time. Write it for yourself somewhere, keep it in front of you where you keep reading it or keep seeing it. It can be your kitchen counter, it can be your study table, anything. It can be under your pillow where you do the setting up of the room, anything, but try to do this for next 1 week. And I am putting it as a commitment for you in the chat box that Nandana is going to start a blog by next Sunday.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
I wish I didn't tell this to you.
It's okay. Nandana is going to write
No, I'm just
blog till next. Don't pardon my spelling, I'm writing too fast. Next Sunday. So now it has become a commitment. Now next Sunday is your broader deadline. You can do it anytime, anyway in this whole week. And divide it into shorter achievable goals for you. Write 2 lines a day, write 1 line a day, make 1 blog in the whole week, no problem. But by the end of the week, we should be able to read your blog. Okay.
Okay, I'm definitely going to try. Yeah, thank you.
Try it. It's just that's what I said, I don't know, say you just have to shift to, I can try this thing. You've got to try this. That's where the change will start happening. Okay, Akanksha, your commitment, your problem first. Akanksha, you there? Okay, we also have Abhinav Bhatnagar. Abhinav? People don't want to share the problem. How will they solve it? Simple.
I got caught.
No problem.
Yeah.
That is what we are trying to solve here. That's why we got you back. So Abhinav, 1 problem and 3 reasons for that problem.
See, I used to run.
Let me make one thing very, very clear. If your problem is your wife, I am sorry, this method will not work on it.
No, one thing which I'm contemplating and I'm not able to do it is every day in the evening for 1.5 hours to 2 hours, I used to go for 5 to 10 kilometers, either run or jog or walk. Okay. I've been doing it for 5, 6, 7 years now. Okay. However, last 2-3 months, due to my the offices have opened, right? So from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. type job has started. And I'm not able to do that evening walk. So that is my problem. And I'm really thinking that how can I get back to my daily schedule? That is my problem.
Okay. So, let's start from a solution perspective to it. What time do you get up or sleep?
12 in the night.
12 in the night. Do you continuously work from 7 to 11?
7 to 8 p.m. Yes.
7 to 8 p.m. you are continuously working. Now understand, if we try to find a solution where you are starting with at least 10-minute walks in between your work timings, anywhere you can walk. If you have a place in your office or before going to office, just for 10 minutes, you start walking. And when you come back from the office, you again start for 10 minutes only and keep it to ticking 10 minutes. Do not increase in the initial days. You put a timer, 10 minutes happens, you stop it. Right? So start with 10 minutes, either in the morning or after the office or during the office. Okay. And that's where you will start. Now, after that, you see, do you find the urge to walk more, or are you trying to give it up? If the giving up is happening, you again go to the empathize mode and find out why the giving up is happening. But if you are somebody who has been a walker for a long period of time, I am sure those 10 minutes will convert to half an hour or 1 hour later on. One thing which you have to keep in mind is when you're doing this walking, initially, if you want to, if you love to go with your family, your wife, and walk and talk, you can do that. If you like your own solo me time at that point of time, you can go alone, put music, do anything which you like doing. But 10 minutes has to be only 10 minutes. You will not increase it for next 1 week. See how you get a response from your own body and mind after that. And then if you feel that, yes, I want to do it, you will continue doing it. Now, the challenge which comes over here is that you might get more work in the office, you might get some commitment in the house. So a day you have missed 10 minutes. What will you do? Another day you have to complete 20 minutes. So the commitment of that 10 minutes, 7 days a week stays. Right? So you start small, try to get into that solution mode, and once you've got into that mode, then you see whether it is again going back to a problem or it is continuing with the solution. Right? So the commitment for you is that you will be walking 10 minutes every day. Okay, Abhinav will be walking 10 minutes every day.
Pragya, may I?
Yes, Ravya.
Yeah, the biggest challenge, the most difficult question, what I can say and ask for is, like, what in a situation when people take you always in a wrong way,
Okay.
how to solve it?
Like, you gave us one problem, one situation which you have faced.
Like, in spite of doing nothing also, some people have an intuition, it's kind of thought in their mind that, like, what am I saying? Like, I haven't done anything wrong, but still they think that it is because of me if any problem arises. So what to do with that?
Okay.
For no reason I'm blamed for, I can say.
Okay. So Ravya, understand the problem here is not happening from your front, but the gravitational forces that you have around you. Right? The problem is of the mindset of somebody else. Now, what can you do about it? Let's think from a solution perspective to it now, Ravya. What do you think you can do about it?
What I have thought of is better to accept it as like my karma and stay quiet. That's it. Not to say a word, because I tried my level best to explain the things on neutral grounds, but still then if it doesn't work out, then I thought that I can't change people around. I have to change myself. Am I right or wrong? I don't know.
Okay. Now focus on what you have said just now. You found your own solution in what you said. I'll tell you how. The first sentence you said is that I accept it as my karma. But the second thing which you said was, whatever I do, I cannot change their mindset. So the problem is of somebody else's mindset. The solution for you keeping a calm of your own self is to understand that I cannot change things for others. And the only solution you will find here is to make a decision to your own self. Right? What I said, There might be situations that might not be the best decisions, the best people, the best situations. But what you tell to yourself at that point of time is, I can do the best I can. I have made a decision that others' views are not going to bother me. It is going to be very tough because our mind is designed to be like that. But after a point of time when anybody says anything, the first response your mind should give to you is, do not listen. Train yourself for that. Do not listen. You can't change it.
Yeah, that's right. What you
And
say.
every time this thing happens to you, every time you face a solution from somebody, if you keep telling this to your brain, after a point of time, it is not going to be an immediate solution, but after a point of time, your own brain will start filtering what you want to listen or feel or not on the emotional front at that point of time. And I can tell this thing because I have tried to apply at least this particular problem I had with me also. And I have tried to apply this particular format and it has started working for me now. It took time. It took me around 3 to 4 months to apply and actually keep going with it. But it did work on me now. So probably this is something which you can try. Whenever somebody started saying something where I wasn't a problem, where it wasn't from my side, I kept on telling I actually closed my ear in a manner where I kept on telling my brain, I can't change this person. I can't change this situation. I can't change the way he or she thinks. And that's where your mind yourself will start filtering those thoughts of what you want to get in and what not. Right? So
Yeah, not correct also, I believe, no, that we keep on clarifying the things.
You don't need to.
Give the
You don't need
explanation.
to.
Yeah,
Because there will always be, as I told, there will be always be gravitational pulls that will keep you sending into that push mode again and again. That is why you have to fight.
Which is that why to means drag on the things, better clarify it right now itself. But still, after trying, when things will be just going back to square one, then I thought give up, right?
That's what exactly my last point, if you remember, in prototyping was. Failures, problems, situations coming again and again will put you in a pushback mode. And that is where this process of empathizing again takes place. Empathizing, then starting the whole process again takes place from there. And after a point of time, this pushback starts reducing because your mind has gone into a process of applying all these 5 situations quickly, instantly, rather than spending too much time on it. Right? So I know I might not have done it as well as Rahul does, but this was one process which I absolutely loved when I had read about design thinking and when I had understood the approach it follows throughout. And I have tried to share the concept. Normally it is a product-based concept, but I have tried to share the concept of how you can apply this thing to your career, your problems in your office, your personal life altogether. The process remains the same for all these sections, right? So from today onwards, whenever you face a particular problem, try to think of these 5 things. Immediately try to think of 3 points why you are seeing it as a problem. And if you don't see it as a problem, what solution perspective will you look at as? As mere things as having a fight in the house with your spouse or somebody, a parent or somebody, till the time you're looking what that person is speaking as a problem and you want to get into that fight, it will stay there. But if you start thinking, take a step back and start thinking, how can I solve this fight? How can I solve this issue which is happening? Why is this issue happening? The first thing that will happen is because you have become quiet, the other person will get confused why the person is not fighting at all, why this person has become silent. And on the other way, you will get your own time to figure out how to convert it from a problem to a solution. Right? So that is it. Akanksha, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. I couldn't speak earlier because there was a lot of noise around.
Okay. Yeah, so give me 1 minute because Rahul will take over from here. I have to go back to the kids. That problem is something which will only be solved as they sleep and we get a calm.
Pull?
Sorry?
Gravitational pull.
gravitational pull. And that's why I am finding a solution to make them sleep rather than taking it as a problem. So just give me 2 minutes. I'll find my solution, send them here, and then you can carry forward from there. Just 2.
Ta-da! I'm here. Yes, I'm not at all aware of what all has happened in this. I'm not sure of what all has happened in this session. So if the questions are about the session, you can redirect them to Pragya. I've opened the Speaker Club WhatsApp group. So please feel free to share your feedback for the session. I'm really excited to see the feedback because I was not a part of the session and want to see what all you all have learned as a part of it. Any questions for me apart from this session? I'm open now. Akanksha?
Nothing, sir.
Nothing. Then why did you call me?
No.
No, you didn't. Okay, done. No problem. So let me close the session the formal way, and then we can stay back and we can discuss a few things which I have in mind. And let's close the session the usual way then. Saturday nights have never been this beautiful for the last 106 Saturday nights now. Thank you for the honor that you keep coming back every Saturday night, sharing your perspectives, listening to our perspectives, and gaining new perspectives. Look forward to seeing you all again next Saturday at 9 p.m. again. Until then, stay safe and get going with all the learnings that you have had during this session. With that, signing off. Good night for today.